Hello, this is Phyllis, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be this SuperDuo ornament cover. It's a pretty lengthy process. It has a lot of steps. It's pretty involved, but if you'd like to make it, stick around for my materials list and the tutorial. Thanks for joining me. The materials for today's project are going to be an iridescent plastic ornament. This ornament measures 10.5 inches around and 5.5 inches from top to center. I'll be using 3 colors of SuperDuo beads. I'm using alabaster, pastel lime, white, and turquoise color. I'll be using 4mm fire polish beads, 2 colors of 3mm bicones. This is an emerald and this is Pacific opal. I'm sorry, white opal. I'm going to use 2 colors of size 11 seed beads. I'm using this vibrant red color that I bought on a hank at a bead show, so I don't know the brand of it. And I'm using a Mayuki cactus color. I'll use a size 11 beading needle, 6-pound fire line in the crystal color, my nippers. I'm using flat nose pliers just for flattening the ends of the fire line for easier threading of the needle. I'm going to use a bead board, and I also will be using an ornament stand, and it's a single ornament stand that I purchased at Michael's, and I'll show it to you when we're getting ready to do the work. So if you'd like to make this project, gather your materials, cull your SuperDuo beads, make sure that both holes are open in those beads because you don't want to get involved in the project and then find that when you're going back through your beads through the second hole that they're clogged by paint or something. So get your patience. This project has a lot of steps, and I don't want you to get discouraged. So there's a lot of work that you're going to have to do on your own, and I'm going to try to keep this video under an hour. All right, so gather your materials so that we can get started. We're going to begin the project by making the main component that we need for the ornament. And I began by stringing on a SuperDuo, an 11-0 4 times. I began with the SuperDuo and I ended with the 11-0 seed bead, and I'm going to pull these down to the end of my thread, and I'm going to tie these beads into a circle just by using a couple of overhand knots. You don't need too much of a tail because I'm just going to cut it off. And pass my needle through the same hole that I went. I'm just going to go around and just give it a little security. And I'm going to pull try not to pull the knot into the hole. I just want it to be there. You know, pull tightly. So go around a few beads. And when you're ready, when you think that you are secure enough, you can exit just a SuperDuo. Now I'm going to exit this SuperDuo here, just a SuperDuo, and I'm going to place myself in a position to do the next round, which is called the step up. I'm going to pass my needle. I'm coming out of the bottom of this SuperDuo, and I'm going to pass my needle back into the top hole of that same SuperDuo, and I'm just going to pull snugly. And these are secure, so here's where I'm just going to take my nippers and nip off that thread. Now I'm here where I can start my next round. My next round is going to be made up of an 11-0, 2 SuperDuos, and an 11-0. I'm coming out of the top hole of this SuperDuo and pass my needle through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. And I'm going to do this all the way around. 1 11-0, 2 SuperDuos, and an 11-0. Go through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. An 11-0, 2 SuperDuos, 11-0. Pass the needle through the next hole, top hole of the next SuperDuo. The last time, you need an 11-0, 2 SuperDuos, and an 11-0. And pass your needle through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. This is where we started. So that's the reason why I didn't go to these SuperDuos, because this is the current round that I'm in which we have to finish out that round by going through here. So I'm going to continue to advance my needle by going through the bottom hole of that SuperDuo that we started in this round, and I'm just going to go through and give this a little security, a little stiffness as well, the reinforcing of it, so that it doesn't do the shimmy or the shimmer. This part of this component should not be dancing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep it from dancing. How's that? And we're just going to continue to go around into these holes of the SuperDuos that we already passed through. And when you feel like your component or this unit is stiff enough, you can exit out of one SuperDuo, just the SuperDuo. You have to go through and exit out of one of the SuperDuos in a set. And here I'm going to step up, get ready, get into position for the next round by passing my needle through the top hole of that same SuperDuo. Now, once here, we're starting on the next round. I'll string on 2 SuperDuos and pass through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. Here, I'll string on an 11-0, a 4mm, and an 11-0, and go through, pass my needle through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. Here, I'm going to string on a 3mm Bicone, pass it through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. Here, I'll string on an 11-0, a 4mm, and an 11-0, and pass my needle through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. Here, we're going to mirror this side. We need to string on our final 2 SuperDuos and pass my needle through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. Here I'm going to string on an 11-0, 4mm, and an 11-0, and pass the needle through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. I need a 3mm bicone here. Pass it through. And here I need my final 11/0, 4mm and 11/0. And I'm going to go through the top hole of the SuperDuo in the last round. And in order to continue now, I need to place myself in a position for the next round, which is called stepping up. So I'll advance my needle through the bottom hole of the next two SuperDuos here, pull my thread, and then flip it over and pass my needle through the top hole of that same SuperDuo. Here now I need a bicone, 3mm bicone, and pass needle through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. Here I need 3 size 11 seed beads. I'm going to pass my needle through the 4mm, and I'm going to advance my needle through to exit out of the 4mm on the other side of this bicone. I want to be coming out of the 4mm here. I need 3 string on 3 11/0s and pass my needle through the top hole of that next SuperDuo. Now here I need my final 3mm bicone, pass it through the top hole of the next SuperDuo. We're gonna make this side the same as the other side, where I string on 3 size 11 seed beads and pass my needle through this 4mm and continue advancing my needle through until we exit out the other side of the following 4mm. Just positioning for our embellishment beads. And here I need 3 11/0 seed beads, and I'm going to pass my needle through this SuperDuo and the 3mm bicone. Now here I'm going to string on 4 of my 11/0 seed beads, and I'm going to pass my needle back around into that 3mm bicone and pull. I'm going to advance my needle up into 2 of these 11/0 seed beads. I'm going to string on an 11/0 seed bead, and I'm going to pass the needle through these following 2 11/0 seed beads. And then I'm going to pass my needle again through this 3mm bicone and the SuperDuo, and I'm going to continue advancing my needle as far as I can through this component, because we need to exit out of the bicone on the other side. So just take your time so that you don't miss any of these beads. You don't want to go through the beads and then flip it over and see that you have a thread going from someplace to someplace. You don't want to see that. You just want to make sure you get through all of your beads without missing any. And do what you can. If it's one at a time, it's one at a time. Oh wow, look at that. All right, so I was able to get through all of these. Now I'm going to be coming out. I'm going to pass the needle through now this SuperDuo and this 3mm bicone. We're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. I'm going to string on 3 of my size 11 seed beads. I'm sorry, 4 of my size 11 seed beads. And I'm going to pass my needle back through the bicone. Continue advancing my needle through these first 2 seed beads. And I'm going to string on 1 seed bead and pass the needle through the following 2 seed beads. That makes a certain picot. That's not going to fall down. That's just the picot, okay? Pass your needle through the bicone. And basically, this is what we need to do. Continue to pass your needle through these beads until you get to the bicone. And once you get through the bicone, just let that thread hang right there. Now, what we are going to do now is we're going to make 9 more of these bicones. You could cut the thread once you get to, actually, this is what you're going to do. You're going to make these and you're going to leave your thread hanging out there just like that, okay? And once you finish making the other 9, we'll get back together and we'll start again. I have my 10 components completed. And I should have taken my own advice when I said to leave the thread coming out of the bicone here. I only did that with the one, and now I'm sorry, but it's okay. We'll fix it. But we're gonna continue on. Once you have your 10 made, I'm gonna show you how to connect them to one another, and I'm going to do one for you, and you will have to do the rest. How I'm going to do that is your thread is exiting your bicone going in this direction, and even if it's exiting the bicone going in this direction, what you're going to do is make a right angle weave unit by stringing on 3 more bicones. And no matter which way your thread is coming out of the bicone, what you're going to do is go back into the other side of the bicone and just make a circle out of those. And reinforce that connection. And position yourself here to connect the next component. We're going to use the bicone here as part of this connection. So what I'm going to do is so we remember right angle weave units, they have 4 points. So I have 2 points already. What I'm going to do is I'm going to string on 1 bicone crystal, and I'm going to pass my needle through the bicone crystal that is on the next component. And just pull that down. String on the next bicone and pass the needle up into the first bicone that where we started, and reinforce this connection. And once you get this reinforced, I want you to end up like this. I want your thread to be exiting that center bicone, and we're going to have that center, the thread that you have left, just leave it there and just let it hang down. And you're going to do that for all of your components. You're going to get the next one and you're going to do the same thing until you have all 10 connected. And once you have all 10 connected, you should have threads hanging down the center bicone in each one, okay? And I'll see you when we're done. I wanted to come back and break up the monotony of attaching all of your components. As you can see, I do have 3 attached, and remember we had our thread exiting the center bicone bead here. Well, let's use that thread. I want to show you what you're going to do with that additional thread. If you don't want that thread to be hanging out there while you are attaching all of your components, this is what we're going to do. We're going to use our 11-0 main color 11-0 seed bead and our 4mm fire polish beads to do this. So with the thread exiting here, I'm going to string on 19 of my seed beads. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. All right, I'm going to pull those. Now that's going to be the length that we need. We're going to use the number 19 seed bead as a pointer. We're going to use that as our center. I'm going to go back up into all of those seed beads, but I just wanted to let you see what I'm doing. After you string on the 19, then we need 3 more. So I'm going to string on 3 size 11s, the 4mm fire polish bead, and 3 more size 11 seed beads. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass our thread needle back up through all of these seed beads. You can do as many as you can. If you can go in one pass, that'd be great. If not, do what you can. I'm sure I could have, but the way I have this positioned is not ideal. Pull your thread and make sure that there's no slack. You have to pull it so that there's no slack in the thread. You should not be able to see thread. There should be no gaps in the beads. And pass back up. To all of these size 11 seed beads and into the bicone. And you can reinforce this thread, that connection, but you don't really have to. But you can also pass through a couple of these bicones and make a half hitch knot and cut that thread off if that's what you want to do. Because once we finish with this part of the ornament cover, we are going to be in the skinny of it, working around that big globe of an ornament. So here I just pass my needle up under these two bicones, and I'm making I pulled up a loop, and I'm just going to pass my needle through the loop twice. And get my thread caught on everything and secure that knot there. And then I'm gonna pass my needle through the SuperDuo and a couple of these beads here. Pull my thread down and I'll nip it off. So this is what we're going to end up doing anyway. So to all of those extra threads that you have hanging down, so I'm not even going to repeat this part of my connection. So when you, however you want to do it, if you want to break up the monotony of connecting your components by doing this, this is what you need to do to the rest of those extra threads that are coming down this center bicone here. So whether you connect them all and then do it, or if you do it as you go along, I'm not going to do this part of the video again. Just make sure that you do it to all of them. Okay, see you in a minute. I have completed attaching all of my components and using my extra threads to make the bottom connectors here. So this is where you should all be. If you are keeping up with me, you should have all 10 of your connectors, all 10 of your components connected and your bottom connectors done. It's now at this point I'm going to make the drape connection, and that's the connection that attaches from the top of the ornament. I already strung my beginning sequence of beads, and you need to start off with a SuperDuo, a bicone, a fire polish bead, a bicone 10 times. So this is what I have here. I have 10 of my SuperDuos followed by a bicone, a 4mm, and a bicone. And I'm using 10 of my white SuperDuo beads, and I won't be using any other white SuperDuo beads in the project. Okay, so I'm going to pull these beads down and tie them into a circle. Actually, and I have my I have 2 yards of fire line threaded to do this process. It's pretty lengthy, so just want to make sure that, you know, I don't miss anything, but I don't want to make the video too long. I'm going to reinforce this connection, but I'm not going to do that on camera. But this is what you need to have so that we can do this. Is the beginning of our drape connector. So this is what you should have, and after I reinforce these, I'm going to come back on and we'll get started again. I completed reinforcing my unit, and I went past the SuperDuo where I had my tail thread sticking out, and I went into this SuperDuo here. Went into this SuperDuo here, and I stepped up by going into the second hole. Then I nipped off my tail thread, and then I strung on 7 11-ohs, 1 bicone, 10 11-ohs, 2 SuperDuos, 10 11-ohs, a bicone, and 7 11-ohs. So this is going to be our count to make the connector loop. What I'm going to do is my thread is exiting the bottom hole of this SuperDuo, and I'm going to go right back into that bottom hole to complete the loop. Then I need to reposition myself. I am going back down into all of these beads on one side, and wow, I was able to get it in one go, and back into the SuperDuos, where I'm going to complete this one connection drape. My thread is exiting out of the top hole here of the SuperDuo. I'm going to string on 2 of my red seed beads and pass my needle through the open hole of the SuperDuo bead. I'm going to string on a bicone and pass my bicone into the open hole of the next SuperDuo. I'm going to string on 2 of my red 11-ohs, and I'm going to go back into the top hole of the SuperDuo. To the top hole of the next 2 SuperDuos. Pull here. And just to make sure that everything is tight, make sure everything is tight right there. And once here, I'm gonna pass my thread through these 2 red seed beads. The bottom hole of this SuperDuo and the bicone, and get my thread stuck in my beadboard. Okay, now I'm going to string on 4 of my red seed beads, and I forgot I need my 4mm. And a 4mm fire polish bead, and 2 of my red seed beads, and I'm going to bring these down. I'm going to skip the 2 red seed beads and go back up into the fire polish bead. I'm going to have you just a little stump sitting there. I'm going to string on 1 of the red seed beads and skip the first red seed bead that's coming out, and pass my needle through the second red seed bead and pull, and 2 more, string on 2 more of the red seed beads and pass the needle back into the other opposite side of this bicone bead, bicone crystal. And this is going to be our drape connection right here. The only thing you have to do now is get into position to do the next one. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to go back into the bottom hole of the SuperDuo. Into the 2 red seed beads. Into the top hole of the SuperDuo beads. Into all of these seed beads. And the crystal, the rest of these seed beads. Into the bottom hole of the white SuperDuo. To the top hole of the white SuperDuo. And advance the needle through the Bicone, the fire polish, the Bicone, and the top hole of that white SuperDuo. And now into position into the open hole of the white SuperDuo. And what we're going to do is repeat the exact same sequence that we did for the first drape, for this first drape connection here. We're going to do that 10 times all the way around in all the white SuperDuos. And I will see you when we're all done with that. I completed doing my 10 drapes, and now I'm just doing a size check over the ornament, and it looks very nice from this bird's eye view. Things are looking just proper, and we're going to continue now with the next step of the project. I ended up needing to add thread, so maybe three and a half yards might be the proper length of thread that you need to do this component. Now my thread is exiting the top of my SuperDuo, my white SuperDuo there. And what we're going to do now is our embellishments for the drape by stepping up. And I'm going to move into the second hole of this SuperDuo and pass my thread, advance my thread down to the Bicone. And I'm going to exit the Bicone. I'm going to do my first set of embellishments. I'm going to use my, let me move this beadboard out of the way. I'm going to use my red seed beads, and I'm going to string on 7 of these seed beads, And I'm going to pass my needle up into the next bicone. I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'm not going to make you watch me do this. This is just the first set of the embellishments. So I'm going to go up into that bicone, into those 7 seed beads, the bottom hole of the next white SuperDuo, and down into the next bicone, well, down the 7 seed beads to the next bicone, exit the bicone, and add 7 more of your seed beads in and attach them to the next bicone going across. Okay, and you do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back when that's done. I completed my first level embellishments, and when I got done putting all of my drapes on, I finished at this spot right here. I continued to advance my needle up through the 7 seed beads, through the bottom hole of the white SuperDuo, down these 7, this bicone, all the way down through these 10, into these 2 seed beads on the side, through this SuperDuo, this bicone, and I exited out of this first red seed bead coming out of that SuperDuo. And I'm going to add my second level of draping, of embellishment around the draping, and it's going to be repetitive and maybe the quickest part of the video. So I'm going to string on 8 of my seed beads and a bicone, and 8 more of the seed beads. And I'm going to pull these down, and I'm going to enter into the corresponding seed bead of the next drape, which will be this red seed bead right here. So my thread is exiting down out of the first one, and then I'm going to go up into the second, into this top seed bead on the next draping. And to get into position for the next embellishment, I'm just simply going to pass through my bicone and the top seed bead below this turquoise SuperDuo. And that is how you're going to add this second level of embellishment to your draping. Just continue to do the same thing. You add 8 seed beads, a bicone, 8 more, and you pass up through this seed bead, the bicone, and down through there, and do that all the way around. And when you're done, you're going to tie your thread off. I completed the second level embellishment on my connector draping, and this is what we have. Your piece is going to naturally curve. So if you were wondering about that, if you're doing this project, if you were wondering about that, that's only because it's going to go fit over our ornament. All right, so it looks lovely, but that's just the connecting drape. Now we're going to connect this to our other piece that has the SuperDuo components. And I'm still not going to do this on the ornament because I have a flat working surface. So I got my other piece here, and I tied, I threaded my needle with around 4 feet of thread, and I attached the thread here on the component. I attached the thread right above this 4mm fire polish bead between the 3 seed beads, and I'm going to pass my needle I'm going to pass my needle up through these 3 seed beads after I get my tail out of the way. And I don't want to cut it off yet. I'm still using it for anchorage. So I'm going to pass up these seed beads, and I'm going to go through the SuperDuo here. I'm going to continue to advance up oh boy, after I finish making a mess. Continue to advance up these seed beads and through my picot tip, my point there. All right, once here, I'm just going to tug on my tail thread again, make sure that I have my knot is pulled as tightly as it can be pulled, and I'm going to get my connector drape, and I'm going to get to this portion of the connector drape here where we have a fire polish, a 4mm bead coming down. So here I'm going to pass my needle up into one of the 2 11-0s, red 11-0s that I have here, and I'm going to go right back down the next 11-0 to the next to the left of it. I'm going to circle through my picot tip or picot point just by going back through it, and this is my connection with the components and the drape. So this is what you should have. Get my tail thread out of the way. I still need it for a little bit. Let's put my hand back in here, and I'm going to reinforce this connection just by passing through, and I'm going to reinforce this connection a couple of times, passing through the seed beads here. Up there, up that way, down this way. And back through my point. One more time for my security. Now I'm going to pass my needle up this seed bead again and through the fire polish bead. And through the seed bead on the right. through the crossover bead here. Well, today, that's because I'm going in the wrong direction. I need to be going up. And these 3 seed beads here on the left, if I can catch them. Through this Bicone bead, and down these beads, where my second embellishment is on this connector drape. So I'm going to start with the red, and I'm going to go through all of these beads here in this drape. Make sure you get them all. And you pass your needle down through these 3 seed beads here, if you can get them. Down to the right side or either side, it doesn't matter. But when you get down here, you want to be coming out of the seed bead on the right. Now I know I made a tangled up mess here, and I have to put these back in order so that I can show you the next thing, but now we're in position to attach to our next drape. So just make sure that all of these, the dangles are toward the bottom, and I'm coming out. Here's my tail thread over here, which means that I need to be going this way. All right, I know it's a tangled up mess, but this is where I need to be. All right. Okay. Yep, here we are. Now, thread is coming here, and right now what we need to be doing is to be going into attaching to the next embellishment. We're going to pass our needle through the tip, the point, and go up into this seed bead and reinforce the loop. So we have a complete loop here. It's connected, but we want to reinforce it, and I'll be back when I'm done. Well, my camera had a moment, and so what I was trying to do was I was trying to show you that the sequence is the same. You're just going to have to make your loops, put all of your pieces together by doing the same thing that I did. If you have to rewind where I did the second or the first connection, you just do that, but you weave your way through these beads here so that you don't have thread showing, and exit out and just attach each point of the component to the connector drape. And I will see you when I get all of that done. I have a better handle on my project now, so I'm gonna go through one of these again. So what I'm doing now is I'm coming through these beads on my drape embellishment, and I'm gonna exit the seed bead, the green seed bead here. I'm going to skip this top seed bead, and I'm going to pass down into the next the next 3 seed beads to get into position for attaching my component, the SuperDuo components. So I'm going to pass my needle down into the seed bead here on the right and through the 4mm, and well, I can't catch it now, but the seed bead on the right. Now once here, I'm lined up now with my component and the picot, the top of the picot. And we're not adding any beads in this attachment. What I'm going to do is, with my needle exiting the seed bead on the right, following that fire polish, I'm going to pass into the picot top, and back into, into the second seed bead that's at the end of the 4mm. I'm going to pass back up through the 4mm, and it's okay to catch one of those seed beads because we're going to use it for anchoring. Going to come back down into the 4mm here, and through these 3 seed beads again. Back up. Yep. Of course, with all of this, all these pieces, of course I went through an extra. Just back out. All right, now we're in the right place. And back up, up into this 11-0 and the fire polish. I want to go, it's okay to go through there, the seed bead, but I want to go through the one that's on the right after I untangle my thread. Okay, and go through this seed bead here on the right and then up. back again where we came from. And this time I'm going to go through these seed beads. This one, and the one on the top next to the bicone. And now into the bicone. And down into this next red seed bead here. And all of these, and we will be at the point where we were when we began. And this is how you do, this is the repositioning, passing through, weaving through the beads so that you don't have any thread showing. And we're back here again. When we get to this seed bead here, we'll skip the one on the top for now and just go down, and then continue like we did when we connected that last drape. All right, so when you get done with all of your draping, I'll see you back so that we can finally put this thing on the ornament and finish it off. Okay, see you in a minute. I completed attaching my drapes to my components, and I had some thread left over, and I'm glad that I did because I didn't want to tie a new thread. So I stitched my extra thread down through this component here and through the my bicone, and through this bicone and down to the bottom here, and passed my needle through the fire polish bead. And now I'm in position to close the bottom of this ornament cover up. And on my needle I have strung 9 of my 11 red beads. Now it depends on what brand of seed beads you're using. You may have to use more or less, but I believe I need 9 here, and I'm going to pass my needle through the next fire polish bead, and that's how we're just going to close this off. We're going to string on our beads and pass through the next fire polish. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And once we go through all of these beads, these fire polish beads, we will reinforce this bottom and tie off. And I will see you when I am done reinforcing and tying off, and then I'll take a picture of the completed ornament cover on the ornament stand. So I will see you momentarily when I get all of this done. I completed reinforcing my connection on the bottom, and I tied my thread off, and this is the completed ornament cover. I thank you for having patience with me. I know we went a little more than an hour, but this is a big ornament cover, and I appreciate you just spending the time to being patient and hanging out with me. And thank you for watching. Hope to see you again soon. And happy holidays.